I still remember the exact moment she broke down. Not because she cried loudly, not because she wanted sympathy, but because she looked at me with the saddest smile I had ever seen and whispered, "Some people are just meant to be loved once." The words hit harder than she probably intended. She was sitting on my parents' back porch during a summer barbecue, holding a paper cup of lemonade while everyone else laughed inside. The evening sun painted golden streaks across the yard. But somehow she looked completely alone. This was Emma, my sister Olivia's best friend since middle school. The girl who practically grew up in our house. The girl I had secretly admired for years, and the woman who believed no man could ever love her again. At 32, Emma had already lived through enough heartbreak for a lifetime. 3 years earlier, her husband Daniel had died in a car accident on his way home from work. One normal Tuesday, one random phone call, one devastating moment that shattered everything. They had been married for 7 years. Everyone said they were perfect together. Then suddenly he was gone. No warning, no goodbye, just gone. I remembered attending the funeral. Emma stood beside the casket looking completely numb. Not crying, not speaking, just staring, as if her entire future had disappeared in front of her. And honestly, it had. After that, she withdrew from life. She kept working as a school counselor. She paid her bills. She smiled when people expected her to. But something inside her never fully returned. People tried setting her up. Friends encouraged her to date again. Family members gently suggested moving forward. She always refused. At first, everyone understood. Then months became years. Eventually people stopped asking. They accepted that Emma was going to spend the rest of her life alone, including Emma herself. But not me. Because every time I saw her, I noticed things others missed. The way she stayed late helping struggling students. The way she secretly paid for Christmas gifts for children whose parents couldn't afford them. The way she remembered everyone's birthdays. The way she listened when people needed someone. She was still full of love. She just didn't believe she deserved any in return. That barbecue changed everything. After she made that comment about being loved once, I sat beside her. "That's not true," I said. She laughed softly. "Sure it is, number." She looked at me. "Daniel was my person." "I know. There won't be another." "How can you know that?" She shrugged. "Because nobody wants someone who's broken." Something inside me tightened. "Emma," I said carefully, "you aren't broken." "Yes, I am." "You survived something terrible." "Same thing." "No," I said firmly, "not even close." For a moment she didn't respond. Then she looked away. "That's kind of you to say." But I could tell she didn't believe me, not even a little. That night I couldn't stop thinking about her. Maybe because I'd spent years watching her carry pain alone. Maybe because I hated seeing someone so kind convinced she wasn't worthy of happiness. Or maybe because I loved her, a truth I had buried for a long time. Not because she was Olivia's best friend. Not because I was afraid of rejection, but because life had already hurt her enough. The last thing she needed was pressure from me. So I stayed quiet for years, until something unexpected happened. 3 weeks after the barbecue, my sister called. "Emma needs help." My heart immediately dropped. "What happened?" "Nothing serious. Her water heater exploded." "What?" "Her basement flooded." I laughed. "That's terrible." "She refuses to ask anyone for help." "Of course she does." "Can you go?" An hour later I was standing in Emma's basement with a wet vacuum. She looked embarrassed. "You really didn't have to come." "Yes, I did, number." "Emma," she sighed. "Fine." We spent the entire afternoon cleaning. Then we ordered pizza. Then we talked, really talked, for the first time in years, about grief, about fear, about loneliness, about life. Hours passed without either of us noticing. When I finally stood to leave, she smiled. A genuine smile, not the polite one she showed everyone else, the real one. And it was beautiful. After that, helping her somehow became normal. Not because she asked, because she never did. But whenever something happened, I showed up. A broken fence, a dead battery, a leaking faucet, a stressful day. I was there, and gradually, Walls that had existed for years started coming down. We became friends. Then close friends. Then the kind of friends who texted each other every day. The kind who shared secrets. The kind who called each other during difficult moments. One snowy December evening, we sat inside a small coffee shop watching people rush through the storm outside. Emma stared into her cup. "Can I tell you something?" "Always." She hesitated. "Sometimes I feel guilty when I'm happy." I frowned. "Why?" "Because Daniel isn't here." I stayed silent. "Is that crazy?" she asked. Tears filled her eyes. "I don't want to forget him." "You won't. What if moving on means leaving him behind?" "It doesn't." She looked at me. "Then what does it mean?" I thought carefully. "It means carrying the love with you instead of carrying only the pain." The tears finally escaped, and without thinking, I reached across the table and held her hand. She didn't pull away. For several seconds neither of us spoke. The world outside disappeared. There was only that moment, that connection, that understanding. And suddenly I realized I couldn't keep pretending. I loved her, completely. Not despite her scars. Because of the strength it took to survive them. Months passed before I finally said anything. Partly because I was terrified, partly because she was terrified too, even if she didn't admit it. Then came the night everything changed. Olivia had organized a charity fundraiser. Hundreds of people attended. Emma volunteered at the registration table. I spent most of the evening helping with setup. Near the end of the event, I noticed Emma standing alone outside, looking upset. I walked over. "Hey," she forced a smile. "Hey." "What happened?" She shook her head. "Nothing." "Emma." After a long pause she finally spoke. "I overheard something." "What?" "Two women inside." I waited. "They were talking about me." My stomach tightened. "What did they say?" She laughed bitterly. "One of them said I'm still stuck in the past." I frowned. "The other said nobody would ever date a widow with so much emotional baggage." Anger flashed through me. "That's ridiculous." "Maybe." "No," I said. "It is." She looked down. "Maybe they're right." "Stop." Jackie and Tears filled her eyes. "I don't know how to be normal anymore." "You don't have to." "I don't know how to trust again." "That's okay." "I don't know if anyone could love someone like me." The pain in her voice broke my heart. And in that moment I stopped worrying about timing, or consequences, or fear. I took a step closer, then another. She looked up at me, confused, vulnerable, waiting, and I said the words I'd carried for years. "Emma, I love you." Her eyes widened. The world seemed to freeze. "I have for a long time." She stared at me, speechless. "Not because I feel sorry for you." A tear rolled down her cheek. "Not because I want to save you." Another tear followed. "I love you because you're kind." I moved closer. "Because you're strong." Closer still. "Because you make people's lives better." She covered her mouth. "Because you're you." Silence. Then she whispered, "Jackie, a broken bar. I know you're scared." She nodded. "I know you've been hurt." Another nod. "And I know you think no man could ever love you again." I gently took her hands. "But I do." She started crying. Not the quiet tears she'd hidden for years. Real tears. The kind that come when something broken finally begins to heal. For a long moment she simply stood there. Then she surprised me. She stepped closer too. "I've been scared," she whispered. "I know, every day." "I know. Because losing someone once nearly destroyed me." I squeezed her hands. "You don't have to be brave tonight." She laughed through tears. "That's the problem." "What is?" "I want to." My heart nearly stopped. A small smile appeared on her face. The first hopeful smile I'd seen in years. "I think I've loved you for a while too." I don't remember who moved first, maybe both of us. But suddenly we were holding each other beneath a sky filled with stars. And for the first time in years, Emma wasn't carrying her grief alone. The months that followed weren't perfect. Healing never is. There were difficult days, moments of doubt, moments when old fears returned. But we faced them together, and little by little, Emma started believing something she hadn't believed in years. That her story wasn't over. That loving again wasn't betrayal. That happiness wasn't something she had lost forever. One spring afternoon, nearly 2 years later, We visited Daniel's grave together. I wasn't sure what to expect. Emma knelt beside the headstone and placed fresh flowers on the grass. Then she smiled, not sadly, not guiltily, just peacefully. When she stood, she slipped her hand into mine. "Thank you," she said softly. "For what?" "For never asking me to choose between my past and my future." I swallowed hard. "You never had to." Tears filled her eyes again. But these were different. These were tears of gratitude, of healing, of hope. A year later, surrounded by family and friends, I watched Emma walk down the aisle toward me. My sister was crying harder than anyone. The guests were smiling. And Emma looked radiant. Not because life had been easy, because she had survived what should have destroyed her, because she had chosen love again, because she finally understood something important. The heart doesn't have a limited number of chances. Love doesn't run out. And being wounded doesn't make someone unworthy of being cherished. As she reached me, she squeezed my hands and smiled. The same beautiful smile I'd fallen in love with years earlier. Only now there was something new behind it. Hope. The kind that comes when someone finally realizes they are not broken. They are simply human. And sometimes the greatest act of love isn't rescuing someone from their pain. It's stepping closer when everyone else steps away.